nightmare crosses the ocean. We have walked the plague-choked streets of London. We have watched bodies pile in medieval churchyards. We have felt the terror that emptied entire villages in 1348. We know the Black Death. But this story is different because this time the nightmare crosses the ocean. August 1793, Philadelphia. It is August 1793. The sun rises over the Delaware River not with the promise of a new day, but with the weight of a curse. The air itself feels wrong, thick, heavy, almost liquid, as if you could drown simply by breathing. Along the Philadelphia waterfront, heat shimmers before morning has fully begun. The temperature has been climbing relentlessly since July. There is no breeze, no relief, only heat pressing down like a physical hand on the chest. Walk down to the docks. Smell that? Beneath the salt and tar lies something sweeter, more sinister. Rotting coffee beans. Hundreds of barrels have spoiled in the sun, fermenting into a dark syrup that leaks between the cobblestones. The water in the port doesn't move. It sits stagnant, breeding. And for months now, ships have been arriving from Saint-Domingue. Refugees fleeing revolution, carrying only what they could save, and something invisible. Dock workers avoid certain wharves. They've seen bodies carried off ships. Passengers who boarded healthy, dead before reaching American soil. But Philadelphia is too busy to worry, too confident, too important. The sun climbs higher, and somewhere among narrow alleys and wooden houses, the first victim of the day is already burning with fever. The capital of a young nation. Philadelphia in 1793 is not just any city. It is the city, the capital of the United States, the Athens of America. George Washington walks these streets. Congress meets here. The Republic is barely 10 years old, and it believes it has escaped the filth and superstition of the old world. But walk off the grand avenues and the illusion collapses. Sewage runs through open gutters. Human waste mixes with animal waste, baking in the sun. Pigs root through alleyway garbage. Wells sit just feet from cesspits and burial grounds. The refugees keep coming. Merchants see opportunity. Cheap labor, new trade. No one sees what's breeding in water barrels, cisterns, and forgotten buckets across the city. Mosquitoes are everywhere, but mosquitoes are always everywhere in summer. Nothing to worry about. The first sign. The temperature climbs past 90 degrees, and across the city, people begin to feel cold. That is the first sign. Not the buboes of medieval plague, not swollen lymph nodes. This disease announces itself with color. Eyes turn yellow first, then skin. A sickly jaundice spreads until victims look painted with sulfur and bile. Within hours, the city understands something is catastrophically wrong. This is yellow fever, medicine at war with itself. Dr. Benjamin Rush moves through the streets like a general surveying a losing battlefield, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, Philadelphia's leading physician. He fights with the only weapon medicine has ever known: bloodletting. Open the vein, drain the corrupt humors. 10 ounces, 20, 30. Some patients are bled 4 times a day until they are too weak to stand, too weak even to vomit. And the vomiting, this is where yellow turns black. The fever cooks blood in the stomach. What comes up looks like coffee grounds, like old sin, like death, black vomit. Once it appears, the sentence is sealed. 24 hours, maybe 48, no survivors. A city unravels. The heat does not break. At 2 in the afternoon, the sky itself feels ready to crack. People begin to change. Neighbors cross the street to avoid each other. Children are locked indoors. Every cough becomes a death sentence. Coffin makers cannot keep up. Grave diggers work through the night. Entire families disappear within days. Doctor, Rush bleeds another patient and another. Convinced that if he can find the right balance, he can turn the tide. He cannot. No one can. The invisible army of mosquitoes continues its work. And then, the unthinkable happens. The government flees. The government leaves. President George Washington loads his belongings into carriages and departs openly for Mount Vernon. Congress adjourns indefinitely. Cabinet members scatter to country estates. The Capitol is abandoned. The message is unmistakable. If leadership won't stay, why should anyone else? The wealthy flee, clogging roads with wagons piled high with furniture and valuables. But surrounding towns set up armed checkpoints. Anyone who looks ill is turned away. Philadelphia's refugees camp in fields, die in ditches. Discover the fever traveled with them. Bring out your dead. For those left behind, the poor, the enslaved, the trapped, the city becomes something ancient and monstrous. At night, a sound echoes through the streets, recognizable to anyone who survived medieval plague, the rattle of death carts on cobblestones, bodies stacked like firewood, homes marked with warnings, the dead left in beds because no one remains to carry them. You can smell death from the street. The heat is merciless. Only one group steps forward, the Free African Society, moving through the city with vinegar-soaked cloths, tending the sick, burying the dead. They do the work of angels and gravediggers alike, nature's mercy. It ends the way plagues always end, not with human triumph, but with nature. October arrives. The heat finally breaks. On October 27th, frost coats Philadelphia streets. Within days, the fever recedes. The mosquitoes die. They will not know for a century that this frost, not bloodletting, saved them. By November, 10% of the city is dead. 5,000 souls in a city of 50,000. 1 in 10. A toll rivaling medieval plague. Aftermath. The government returns. Streets are scrubbed with lime. The city decides to forget, but survivors remember. The yellow skin, the black vomit, the death carts. The moment the Athens of America became a plague city, the Black Death crossed the ocean and found the New World just as vulnerable. The heat always returns, and when it does, yellow fever remembers.